the figure you know.
It is a situation that the main thrust of the government is it wants the security clause, or the, how it calls itself, the opportunity for a potential of a second bailout. We simply cannot afford the first bailout. We simply cannot afford it. Neither can we afford a second bailout and possibly a third bailout. This is the question of a second bailout is simply not an option for the people. It is simply not an option for the people. So this whole question of around whether we get an insurance policy where you get another bailout is simply not necessary. It's not really the key question. The key question facing us all is, do we want to continue down the road we're going? Do we want to continue down this road where we will sell off every state asset, where we will bargain away every single thing that our parents and our grandparents struggled hard to build? When come next 1st of June, when we have voted yes or no, it is clear at every table, or many tables around this country, there will be parents sitting there with an empty space at the table. Their children, one or possibly two or possibly three children, will have left this country. Most will be forever. So this is about real people, real issues, deep poverty, mass immigration, and permanent mass unemployment. This is not, we have to make a choice. We have to develop policies which reflect the interests and the needs of the Irish people, or we surrender to the policies and the needs of the European Union and the Euro. That is the choice.
I presume you want to repudiate the bank debt that we have, right? And
Yep.
you want to reject the treaty, so we would not, according to the EU, at least get the money to be able to borrow money from the ESM. So what's the alternative?
There are a number, say, first of all, you would have to have a government which cares about the people and protects the people. But as they talk about the going to the markets to borrow money, they mean as big corporate banks. There are what are called sovereign wealth funds. When Iceland got into crisis, they actually got money from the Norwegian sovereign wealth fund. They told the British and the Dutch governments and Dutch banks that they no longer were prepared to pay debts accumulated by the Icelandic banks, and they refused to pay those debts. The Icelandic government has negotiated twice and put the renegotiated terms of the agreement to the people of Iceland, and they have been rejected twice. The people of Cyprus, who have heavily connected to the Greek economy, equally borrowed money from the Russian sovereign wealth fund to get them over the difficulties experienced because of the crisis in the Greek financial system. So there are alternative areas and avenues to acquire money if we require it. As I say, we are now spending 14 billion servicing a debt. That's more than we are spending on the health services. So if we stop paying it, as the old saying goes, if you owe the bank manager €1,000, he comes knocking on your door. But if you owe the bank manager €1,000,000, he comes in and asks, do you want to go for a cup of coffee? We have the situation that the Germans would not allow, and the European Union would simply not allow Ireland to default, because it would completely and utterly destabilise the European Union. And if Germany are benefiting to the tune of 40% from the euro, have a competitive advantage against its global competitors, they would be very reluctant to see the euro go down, and very reluctant to see the debt become a major stability factor as it is. So there are options. There are options. There is the appeal to, you can go negotiate with sovereign wealth funds. The Norwegians have a sovereign wealth fund, Russians, Chinese, Saudis, Venezuela. They're all government sovereign, they're all owned by the state, owned by the people. You can negotiate with these people. you will get better terms from these people. The Chinese are the biggest owners of American debt. That is offered by the government. So we need a no vote. We need to say, because we cannot afford a second bailout. The only argument the government has is that we need to vote yes in order to bail out the second bailout. We simply cannot pay the price of the first bailout. It is costing us tens of thousands of jobs. It's costing us in the closure of hospitals and schools. It's costing us in mass immigration, in the loss of tens of thousands of our young people and talented people. We simply cannot afford a second bailout.
And yet the government are saying that we need to say yes in order for growth to return, to attract investment that will create those jobs.
It is not possible for 1.7 million people to pay 150 billion of the debt as it now stands. It is simply not possible. Each person in this state owes 41,000 euros of this debt personally, as the state has done. If you go down this road, it will not lead to growth. It will lead to further undermining of the terms and conditions of workers, not just in Ireland, but right across the European Union. That when the European Union talk about creating a more competitive base, it means what they are talking about is removing and ending workers' rights and permanent jobs. They want to spread the question of part-time flexible working. So you'll see a growth in flexible working, a growth in short-time, part-time working. You'll see a growth in contract working. That means workers will have less money to spend. They'll be unable to meet their bills, so therefore there'll be less money circulating in the economy. So it will not lead to growth. This is about creating stability within the financial markets.
But no beyond policy the Dana town. Dar leis an troika mór, agus an troika bheag sin fin fáil fin bhil agus an luchtaid an troika seoghine go cuairtí leias agus Dana a bhfuil in aig an conra den sin nach bhfuil an Dana ag éirí leis, nach bhfuil ag éirí leis an din, ach nas sé míad as a party cumra, go bhfuil sé ag éirí leis an din, mar níl sé mar aim an policy sin. Lasú don cuasaí ach na míocha na tíre seo atá hún, ach part den achtas dáda in aig an acma lucht daibre. Agus níl chuirte eile le fáil ag an acma bourgeois damda ach gan níochaigh daoine bochta na hibrahóirí as an ggéircéim cruaigh an ggéircéim an dain an captúchas a bheasú níl cuirte eile a cub.
Cén fágur chóir go dhaoine vótáil níl?
Mar, chuireann sé an tír seo éíochas go deo. Ní féidir in íocha as gátá sé sé mór sin. Ach, nuair a fád atá sé le fá againn, le níocha againn, bemid féig cuacht de tíre móra, de tíre imparúlachas.
Okay, so fad is tá mit fós a gíoch fíocha bé mit faoi smacht de stocha.
Faoi smacht?
Yeah. So we'll just tá somit in cheisinéis.
Okay.
Just cén fágur chóir, just aber, you know, bechóir go gaoine vótáil níl mar.
Fad a bheith an...
Just má hosaíonn tú an Albert le bechóir de...
Okay, bechóir a daoine vótáil níl in aig an chunna sin, mar is fad a bheith an échas le níochaghine bheith smacht oran ag na tíre bhfuil an náirta go leis an Garmán, an Rank, agus an Breton freisin atá a bhail an éantacht na Eorpa.
That's she made has yeah, it's just literally
yeah.
a few seconds.
Yeah.
Agus tá
Yeah.
go raibh an